Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 43 of the Whitey and Will Sports Show. Today is Sunday, August 28th, and we are fresh off of a couple of things this weekend. The Effingham High School football season got underway this weekend, and also had a little wooden bat tournament over there at Teutopolis, and we have got the coach from St. Anthony High School, Tony Kreke, joining us today after a successful weekend, I understand. I'll tell you, I hadn't heard the results yet, so I'm working on the fly here, Tony, but it sounds like you guys had a good weekend, had a good Saturday over at T-Town, so thanks for joining us to talk about it a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate you guys asking me to hop on with you.
Tony is he's got a busy Sunday scheduled today, and so we've got him for a few minutes at the beginning of the show. So, Mike, let's get right down to it. You're going to have to remind me, Tony. It was you guys and T-Town, of course, at this tournament. Who were the other two teams playing?
North Clay and Diedrich.
Okay. So how did it all shake out?
Well, we opened up at 9 o'clock yesterday morning. We played T-Town. Actually, we just got done playing T-Town on Wednesday earlier this week as well. So that's normally how it works out. You usually get to play T-Town twice that first or second week of the fall season. So it's a good barometer to see where you're at, you know. So, yeah, we opened up with T-Town game one, and Brock Fearday threw an excellent game. He threw a no-hitter, actually.
Okay.
He allowed 2 walks, 88 pitch, complete game, no hitter. So
excellent. That's a group that foursome of teams there. A couple of teams that are in a transitional phase, you know, with T-Town, you know, with Coach Fleener, and Mike, you and I can touch on this a little bit later too. But Justin Fleener taking a year away to go be able to watch his son Luke play as a senior there with North Clay. But then North Clay graduating, you know, basically its entire lineup with the exception of Fleener. Those are programs that you know, still getting their feet under them a little bit, I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of young talent at the tournament yesterday.
Absolutely.
I can't say for sure what North Clay threw yesterday, but I've heard from a few people saying they threw all freshmen. We got a couple freshmen in our lineup. I know Town's got a lot of young guys. A bunch of guys who may not have had a lot of varsity experience, but they got some athletic ability, and and then obviously Diedrich, they got a lot of young guys too. So it was a good tournament. It was a good way, a good opening. First couple weekends there to kind of see where you're at, and going into this tournament after a long week we had. This was we had 5 games last week, so I was fortunate to be able to have Brock Fearday on the hill for game one. I had him in relief on Tuesday with Altamont, and he was able to be fresh for Saturday, and he got game one and game two. We kind of went at him with a couple different guys, and Nick Ruhal and Sam Link was able to get the job done against Diedrich.
Excellent.
What was the Tony? What was the score of that Diedrich game? I never got a score.
It was 8-4.
Okay.
Yep, 8-4.
So when you go play in these wooden bat things, obviously it's not what the kids are used to. Just in terms of what they're swinging. What's the crash course that a coach gives his kids when you're going to go out and swing those different bats? Is there anything you say to them? You just tell them to have the same approach and just let
well, yeah.
Yep.
I think as far as that goes, yeah. Well, I like to move the baseball situational hitting, just as every coach does. But we try to execute that in practice. Bunting, hit and run, just execution all the way around. So I told him yesterday, the team that's going to be able to. I told him we kind of flexed our muscles on Wednesday against T-Town. We kind of had a few. We had some home runs, a couple doubles, and I said, boys, we're going to have to outwork them today, because we're not going to have those home runs and those gap shots as we would with aluminum. So it didn't necessarily work out. We didn't have a lot of opportunities to move the ball because their pitcher on the other, Logan Lawson, he threw a great game as well. So we were just fortunate to scratch a couple runs across to get us that lead. But then in the second game, against Diedrich, we were just trying to move the baseball, try to make the other team play catch. Playing catch at a high level is one of those things that we really stress for our defense, but we want to force the other team to do that. And really with wooden bats, that kind of wooden bat, you have to do that. You have to force the other team to do that.
Well, especially early in the season, teams are still figuring out where, sometimes where they're going to play kids and figuring things out defensively. So yeah, just put the ball in play, and sometimes some good things can happen for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's, when you're 2 strikes, it's mano a mano, man. You just don't want to go down. So you just got to put a chip on your shoulder and fight and claw and do whatever you got to do to put the bat on the ball.
Now, Tony, you got a lot of young kids this year, don't you? I mean, you're not real heavy in seniors.
We have 3 seniors. We have Eli Levitt, Brock Jansen, and Will Haney. And, I couldn't be happier with how they are, how they're leading the team. I always say the seniors are the engine that drives the team. I've always said that. So, and they're 3 guys that see it and they want it. They want to see our team have success, not necessarily themselves. How I'm kind of viewed, they want to see the whole program have success. And I'm very, very pleased with how they are leading this team so far this season.
Something that I always like to get coaches to talk about a little bit, to get to play fall baseball, is just what a nice thing it is to have these games in, obviously doesn't count toward IHSA numbers and stuff like that, but it gives you a chance. It gives you a chance when you have that young lineup to get some guys out there, give them a chance to play. I know you got conference games, so it's not like it's completely meaningless baseball, but
right.
But it does give you a chance to figure some things out, so that when you're on the road to trying to win a regional in the spring, you're a step ahead of a lot of programs in the state.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, fall season, we're so very fortunate to be able to have that and be able to play it. You're able to try different lineups and try guys in different positions, and, really get a lot of guys get their feet wet in varsity baseball, because it is competitive. I mean, when you're playing and you're competing for that conference championship, in a sense, it's like a regional, because most times when you go to regional, you're playing the same conference teams. I don't know. I just think it's very beneficial for us. And come spring, I feel like we just really hit the ground running, get the guys' arms in shape. And it gives us an opportunity to play other teams in the spring, play some bigger schools, your Muhammad Seymours, your Champaign Centrals, Centennials, Sacred Heart Griffins, just those different teams, and just see where you're at. I like seeing guys and how they react to playing bigger schools and maybe better talent. It's not always the best team wins. It's always the team that plays the best on that given day. So, and that's what I really enjoy about that, is you don't have to stay locked down and play your conference in the spring.
So how has your fall been going so far? I mean, I know we're early, but it's not a long season. So it's like it gets going, and then all of a sudden,
I tell you, the fall season to me, it's kind of like a sprint. It's you have a week of practice, and we had 7 days of practice, and we already had our first game on the 17th, and we're 8-0. We're sitting 8-0 currently. This last week, we were able to we had our first conference game against Altamont. We beat them 6-3. That was a good win over a good quality team. Altamont always has a great team. And then Wednesday, we came back-to-back days with some high emotion games where we played T-Town, a rivalry game there, and we were able to beat them 8-0. And we traveled to Neoga for another conference game. We were able to beat them. So we're playing. I think we're playing at a good pace right now, and we're executing. But still, we got some things to improve upon. Obviously, defense is always something that I'll stress. Pitching, if we can get guys who can throw strikes and really command the strike zone, it gives us a chance to win.
I was on Neoga's field a few weeks ago. We had our class reunion, and some of the guys that were on the team went out there and got our picture taken in the dugout, and they were doing some work, trying to do some work on the field. They get that thing rounded into shape pretty well.
Coach Hacker's doing a great job, with that field up there. It's doing it. It looks totally different. And hats off to Kurt and all the hard work him and his players are doing.
Yeah, you probably played on that field in high school, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those fields you don't ever forget, with the short porch. And
yeah,
I wasn't a home run hitter, but for one day or for one game, I kind of thought I was. But it's one of those things that it can really alter your swing just because it's in your mind. So
was gonna say there's about one field I've ever played on in my life where I might be able to hit an opposite field home run, and that was it.
Yeah.
Managed to do it, and that's not because I was a good hitter. That's because it's about 280 all the way across when I was in high school.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
Tony, I know you're up against a pretty tight schedule. You got just a lovely drive ahead of you coming up here to go to visit some family. So, we will let you get on your way. Congratulations on getting that wooden bat, that traveling trophy. Hopefully Logan Fleener got that out of his kitchen. At one time that was going to be displayed over the kitchen table, so Dad had to look at it a lot last year.
That's right. Well, Fleener says, "Hey, I need that bat back." I said, "No." I said, "I'm going to go ahead and keep this for a few years." And he says, "No, I actually need that back to put your name on the bat." I was like, "Oh, okay. I guess I can do that." But I think Justin told me yesterday after the tournament. He says, "No." He says, "Now all 4 teams that are in this tournament, each one of us has all won at one time." I think he said Dietrich won it back in 2012 or 13. I can't remember. Obviously, T-Town's won it several times, and North Clay's won it a couple times as well. So it was nice to get our name etched into that bat. The guys' work paying off for them, and I'm proud of what these guys are doing and showing us so far. And I look forward to seeing these guys progress through the rest of the fall season. And it's everybody. It's not just the 9 guys that roll out there on game day. It's the guys that are, putting in the time practice wise and knowing their role and being the best teammates they can be. So.
And remind me, I want to make sure I've got this right. You said you're no hitter in the first game. Remind me who threw that.
Brock Fearday.
Brock Fearday, right. Just want to make sure. Okay. Very good.
All right. Well, Tony, you have safe travels and good luck the rest of the fall. Good luck the rest of the conference and the conference tournament.
All right. I appreciate that, guys. Thanks for asking me to.
Hey, thanks for bailing us out today.
Yep. We appreciate it. Have fun.
You bet.
All right. We'll give Tony a chance to we'll give Tony a chance to log off and get on his way. And Mike, we got a little more to talk about. Like we said in the open, we had a football game this week. I don't know where you want to start, as far as what the
I'll tell you what, we got there, pregame festivities were kind of wrapping up and the teams were headed to their locker rooms. And it was just kind of neat. I'll tell you, the crowd was overly impressive. Huge turnout on the Effingham side.
Yeah.
Really was. Huge turnout. When Effingham came out pregame or, right before when they, when they ran through the tunnel with the band, I actually FaceTimed that with my son down in Nashville because, I always told Zach before he left for every home game, I said, hey, do not trip in the tunnel. So that was always my sage advice to him when they'd run out on the field. And, so he was watching it. It was good. Game was, I thought for a second, Effingham was going to open that can of, here's a lot of mistakes, first game of the year. Unfortunately, we're playing a powerful team like St. Teresa. That pick 6, not Mr. Pontius's best pass of the game.
No.
But I'll tell you what, Effingham's defense played a whale of a game.
Yeah, sure.
They really did. You gave up points on the pick 6. The touchdown in the second quarter, you pretty well had the drive stopped, and you had the horse collar, which it was. I don't know if he got his hand because we were down in that end zone, but I was kind of on the east half of the end zone, not the west half. I talked to some people on the west half, and they weren't sure he got inside the pads. They think he had him by the jersey. I know the way he went down, it looked awkward. But let's face it, without that penalty, St. Teresa doesn't score that drive because that was a 3rd and long. They were being stopped probably for a loss, I think, which was going to bring up 4th down. And Effingham's defense has done a great job. It just kind of, one of those. I had a person tell me if that tackle is made on the Effingham half of the field in front of the Effingham bench, that call may not have been made. I don't know. I'm just saying that comment was made. And then the catch in the end zone, from my angle, I thought it was pretty close because the way the young man was almost in a baseball slide catching it. Now, I did talk to people on that side, and they said he appeared to be in, but it was close.
Yeah, that one was real hard for us from our vantage point up in the broadcast booth. That he was in traffic, the far end of the end zone. I honestly, from where I was sitting, I didn't think there was any way that he was going to be able to make that sliding catch and stay in the end zone.
Well, the official who the side judge was coming down, and they were looking at each other, and I thought, is he going to, and then he signaled touchdown.
That was the thing. It took a long time for that.
Yeah, it was a kind of a delayed call, and I don't know if he was waiting on the back guy to say, did he catch it? Which that guy couldn't see if he caught it or not, because really his back, the receiver's back, and the kid made a clean catch. There wasn't any question on the catch.
Just whether he stayed in bounds or not.
Yeah, and it was very close. Trust me. And I'm not saying he was out of bounds, but I'm just saying there was just a pause before the call was made. And I know that kind of hurt Coach Hefner a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, the last touchdown, it was just a case where speed kills, man. Yeah,
those were St. Teresa and what you're talking about. They busted off 2 straight plays where they just gained they gained 85 yards in 2 plays. It was they brought the ball out to the 20 off the kickoff.
Yeah,
immediately had a 5-yard penalty, and then just ran 1 play to get on the other side of it.
Threw the ball pretty much down the middle of the field, and picked up pretty good chunky yardage, and then got behind everybody. And one thing I noticed, first quarter, Effingham took a shot deep and had a man open.
Yeah.
And the closing ability of the DB for St. Teresa and his speed, he was able to get there, and literally the ball hit off his helmet. Back in the day, Tristan Duncan may kind of be able to go up on the run and high point that, but you don't have very many Tristan Duncans in the history of the school as far as the ability of a wide receiver. The ball, he threw a strike, and the receiver was going to catch it. And at the last minute, the St. T kid just, he closed enough and the ball caromed off his helmet, literally. So, the speed really hurt in the secondary. I think at times receivers looked open that weren't going to be open because of their ability to close on the ball.
That was the big thing. The big thing.
In that second quarter, Effingham got a little ground and pound going, and they were running kind of a hurry up, and St. Teresa had to call timeout. They were winded, and Effingham got a holding penalty in that drive, I think, or they may have marched down and punched it in, because they had St. Teresa on the ropes at that point in that drive.
Yeah, St. Teresa had to burn its last time out of the first half to stop the action there and figure out.
Break, and they had to shuffle in a couple new D linemen. Yeah, they were gassed, and they had a lot of kids, just like when we talked to Coach Hefner last week. There's people going both ways, and at that point, I talked to some people at halftime, and I said, even when it got to 12, I said, I think Effingham's in a position, if it can come out and control the ball and get a couple first downs with that hurry up, not letting St. Teresa get much wind, I think they had a chance to, make it a pretty tight game. And they just, John Westendorf going down with I guess we'll use the hockey term, a lower body injury.
Yeah, not sure yet what's going on there.
Yeah, but let's hope it's nothing. He's back to full strength. But it was just, you had that sense they were 2 plays from just asserting themselves enough offensively to say, hey, we can run the ball right at you, and you're worn down and we're not.
Yeah, you mentioned it when we first started talking about it. When they had the 27-yard interception return, St. Teresa, to score the first touchdown of the game, you're thinking, boy, this is this is feeling kind of like last time we played these
Deja
guys.
vu from last year.
A
Sure.
couple of bad turnovers early on basically ended the game before it started. And luckily the only other turnover was a long pass downfield at the end of the first half. And it's one of those, the ball gets tipped. That's not on the quarterback. That's not
Well, and I had some people, it was kind of funny. And, the clock was running down. I think when they started the clock, it was like 20 seconds and, under your play clock. And somebody said, well, why aren't we doing anything? And I said, well, they're going to run it down and call timeout. So there's not a chance for St. Teresa to get an interception, get the ball back, and then run a play.
exactly.
Coach going to run it down 2 seconds, 1.8, whatever, call the timeout. Okay, now we're going to try to make something happen. Yeah, I understood exactly what he was trying to do, but I think there were some people that are like, well, why did they call timeout at 20 seconds and then they could have got off? Well, you're not going to get off because that would have been your last time. That was your last time out. So you were going to get one play. You might as well get one play that's going to end the half instead of one play that if something goes bad, now St. Teresa's got a chance. And they had a timeout.
Yes.
So conceivably, you give them the ball with 20-some seconds, there's a couple plays they can run.
Yeah, that was, not a big deal to me. I understood what was going on there.
Right.
Too.
But I think sometimes the people that didn't were, kind of critical and, really it was a very, that's how you're supposed to do it.
The thing I have always noticed about football, and this is not, I don't want anyone to take it the wrong way, but you do tend, for one thing, there's just more kids playing. So there's more parents, more family, more people come to the games, right? Like it's just, and you always have the people who know everything in the bleachers and want you to know about it. And the fact of the matter is, like, they don't, coaches.
Well, no, and or you have the fan who thinks we need to throw deep all the time like it's a game of Madden. Well, the defensive backs for
St. Teresa
are a lot quicker than the wide receivers for Effingham. And secondly, St. Teresa put a lot of pressure on Tanner when he wanted to throw. He had opportunities in the first half, but really after halftime, he wasn't getting many chances to comfortably throw a ball.
His first throw on the first possession when they went 3 and out, he had a little time to make that throw, and it was just
right. And he threw a little high to Garrett Wolf.
Garrett Wolf, yes.
May have had another guy in the flats on that one. He may have had an opportunity for a nice catch and run to a guy in the flats. But again, you don't have a lot of time to get through your progressions. No. And I thought he threw some good balls during the night. It was just, they're good.
The pick six,
they're ranked second for a reason.
Yeah, the pick six he's rolling to his right. He got flushed out of the pocket pretty quick on that one. But that's a situation. Okay, so he's under pressure. Okay, that is true. But at a certain, what you want from your quarterback and what you will see as the season goes on, as he takes more snaps, is that you have to make the decision: am I going to throw this ball off the wrong foot, or am I going to just
throw it to Obi Farmer on the sideline?
Yeah, accept that the play is broken and move on to the next.
Right.
That's
sometimes kids try to make more that he had a play earlier where he was on his way to the ground and fired one to the sidelines, and I think it was that one made a nice catch.
That one was, and now I don't think that's even who he was intending to throw it to.
And the play was for no gain, but sometimes you just got to take a bite out of the apple. But I thought the Hearts, I heard a little bit of Coach Hefner's post-game show, and I know he was talking about some people, sometimes you only get so many chances before you have to move on with personnel. Because there were some breakdowns. Just knowing, you see a play get blown up and, okay, somebody really missed an assignment there. And generally those are mental things, not physical. Physical errors, if you're got someone who's just physically bigger, stronger, quicker than you, and occasionally takes advantage of you, there's nothing you can do about that. However, when I'm supposed to check this guy first before the mental errors are the ones that kill you and they haunt you and make coaches gray-haired.
But at the end of the day, I think
His
coach
eight-
was he'll take it, right? Like I think that there was enough there that he'll take it. Obviously,
Right, there were positives. There were positives to build on. Yes, it's an 18-0 loss. Your defense gave up one touchdown on a short field after a penalty, and then 2 long passes was the other. That's the 2 times your defense scored or gave up points. St. T's going to score more than 12 points this year in a game.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what they did last year, and obviously St. Teresa lost some weapons from their last year's team too. But
Right.
I mean, they scored 630 points last year. Okay, they were averaging 55.5 points a game last year. So you come into this game, you hold them to 18. You feel pretty good about that. Effingham will score some points this year.
I think the biggest thing they need to find out between now and Friday when they go to Muhammad is John Westendorf's health.
Yeah, that's going to be
because that's a big part because he's a physical runner. I'm sorry, is it Dunstan? The other kid's name?
Yeah, Weldon Dunstan.
And he's a lot quicker.
He's a change of pace.
John. One of the things I did notice, there's being patient as a running back, and he's not dancing, but you got to pick your spot and go sometimes. Because it seems like when you're kind of wait, things close up in a hurry. But you see bursts he has, it's there, and he's got to get the experience playing at this level. I thought the wide receivers really didn't do a bad job.
No.
Had some opportunities, made some catches.
Made some catches.
I just think, the speed, the defensive back, the speed in the defensive secondary was huge.
That's the
check mark that hurt
That's
the Hearts.
That's the last thing I'll bring up is that, when you run those deep routes, if you underthrow the ball even a little bit, those defensive backs are going to close on it. They are going
and it's almost like at times they were baiting. They were giving Effingham a step or two here or there, knowing, hey, I'm going to close on this and take it away.
And there were a couple of deep balls where I think that if Tanner's able to lead the receiver a little further downfield, maybe the play turns out differently. But as it turns out, you get 2 guys closing on the receiver when it didn't look like double coverage when he let the ball go, but they were just able to recover to the point that they made it.
St. Teresa had more athletes on the field.
But they're. And that's what
that happens. You give the Hearts credit. They said, okay, we're going to stand here and fight you all night. And they did.
They did.
And,
yes, absolutely.
And how many times did they stop St. T on 4th down, 4th and 6 or less? And then the Hearts were able to punch a couple of 4th and shorts in and keep drives going. So, and it wasn't a game, we didn't have the snap over the punter's head or the kick return or 472 penalty yards. You had the 1 pick six, the other was kind of almost a Hail Mary. It was a Hail Mary at the end of the half. We're going to try to throw a long ball and see if we can get a catch or a pass interference or something.
Yep.
So really that part of it was fairly clean. The mental mistakes here and there against a St. Teresa, you can't make. I mean, Effingham had to come out and play a perfect game to win that game. Probably better than perfect, really. And they really played pretty good. I mean, defensively, I was very impressed.
The attention now shifts to a trip to Muhammad next week, and it's not. It's going. You think St. Teresa's good? Muhammad's better. Okay.
I'm not making that trip. We've got golf Friday. So so when you see Matt Hensley, tell him he probably owes me a soda or something. Just tell him. He'll probably say choice words, but that's okay.
He'll come find us. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh no, he will. He probably asking you for ticket money or something.
But Muhammad.
Oh, I did hear something very interesting, Whitey, because we were standing there in that behind the north end zone. Obviously all the visiting crowd parks on the high school side because they don't know about the other side, and then they walk across behind us. So they kind of turned the corner, and now they're walking and they're looking at the field, and tons of positive remarks. But then I heard this parent from, I'm assuming a parent of a player from St. Teresa. He goes, wow. I bet they didn't have to do any fundraisers for this here. And I thought, I'd really like to tell you the real story about how this, was done, but I didn't. Them being a parochial school, obviously they have to do everything on a fundraiser. And he just kind of made that off the cuff remark. And I really wanted to say something, and I know it's harder to believe that I didn't, but
I'm glad
okay.
you showed some restraint. It's kind of like,
well, just from the standpoint, no, they raised, publicly $750,000 in less than 50 days. It'd be nice. And I'm sure he's thinking, okay, Mount Zion did all their stuff because of that property tax. Well, we don't have that. We've not been able to get that through. So that's another feather in the cap for what you see in some of the facilities around here.
we both had experience biting our tongues because I was sitting out in the bleachers at Busch Stadium last night, and
I wasn't going to bring it up, Whitey. I wasn't going to bring up Ken.
Well, it's not so much how the game went, but I was actually sitting around a lot of Braves fans, and boy, people like to go to ball games and talk like they know something about what they're watching when they have no clue.
Were your comrades doing the chop at any time during the game?
Let me tell you something. I am not a pro chop person in the first place.
I know.
But
I didn't say you.
You especially look like a fool when you go into the other team's stadium and do it. And you especially look like a fool when you're still doing it while your closer is actively melting down and the game's falling apart and you're just standing there doing that. Like, it's just bad vibes. It's bad vibes, Mike. I
sent you that text that said he didn't look comfortable. And I actually expected a 2-word response from him. But you didn't. So when you actually sent me a response, here's my question. Kenley Jansen, and I'd never noticed this before last night. When he kind of starts to get set on the mound and almost comes set, he does that little twitch wiggle.
That's fairly new. He hasn't always done that.
But why is that not a balk?
Well, it's not a balk because he never comes. He does it until he comes set, and then he stops.
Well, he appears to be set when he does it. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
Who was the guy that used to call all the balks?
Bob Davidson.
Bob Davidson. I think he'd have a field day. He'd just go, hey, Kenley, balk, balk, balk.
I don't know.
It just to me looks like he's almost starting a motion and then like, no, I don't want to throw that pitch. But he was the mound too high for him or something. He just looked like he'd never been on a mound.
I don't know. He honestly, I think in 45 or so appearances, I think I saw where he's only had 18 clean innings. So he's not been a lockdown guy for certain.
He had trouble with the zone last night.
Yeah.
He had trouble with the zone.
Well, in St. Louis, to their credit, they work counts pretty well. They foul off pitches. If you put it, they've got the thing is that closers always take a lot of gaff when they blow a game like that. But the fact of the matter is, it shouldn't have been a 5-4 game going into the ninth. Charlie Morton gets gifted a 4-0 lead and immediately goes out.
John Smoltz lit him up for walking the first batter.
Walks the leadoff hitter on 4 pitches and then
and Smoltz
opposite field home run to it. I don't know if Kinsner is considered the backup catcher or what, but he's hitting 200 with 1 home run all season long.
He's like 45% the starter.
Yeah. So, that's a bad sequence. You can forgive a guy for giving up a bomb to Arenado.
Now,
Arenado
through Arenado went a different. As they said last night, and as they kind of stole it from because I read in the Post that Derek Gould was talking about that. Arenado having dad strength now, being a new father, and then of course they were jumping on that last night on the Fox game. I think it was Ken Rosenthal. He's the one that had to drop he didn't say, hey, citing, the guys on Bally Sports, KMOX or the Post. He's made it sound like he made it up. But
Austin Riley did the same thing earlier this year, came back and hit a dinger.
And you know what? Here's the thing, that the hardest ball of the night, exit velo, who hit that?
Is the Pujols line drive to shortstop, right?
Line drive was
Yeah.
because they were talking about it.
I
It was
figured
a
so.
bullet. It was a
Um,
bullet. Well, when he hit it, I thought it was one of those that was just going to be in the gap, that, not hit very high, but no one's going to have a chance to catch it. And
Yeah.
that was a bullet.
He stung it. Yeah, I kind of wondered. I figured you bring in your lefty reliever, your top lefty reliever against the bottom part of that St. Louis order, and sure enough, they've got Pujols in the game. And I told my wife, I was like, I don't want to see this. Like I didn't, I understand that
You thought bad things were getting ready to happen.
Well, and maybe it was just
Trust me, the number is 394, 694 were going through your head.
Yeah, but good experience overall. I will tell you this much: we sat 2 rows above the visiting bullpen.
Okay.
And you got
you almost caught Arenado's home run.
It was in the neighborhood for sure. It was the next section over toward the foul pole in left field. But yeah, it was right there, and Kinsner's landed in the bullpen, so. Right. We got a pretty good look at that. I'll tell you, we got there early because we wanted to go. We wanted to go to our seats, and we figured batting practice be going on, and kids get a chance to see that.
Right.
They don't open they open the stadium. I don't know what, 2 hours before game time, something like that.
Yeah, you don't get to see much BP anymore.
Nope. We'll never do that again because we had a 5-year-old who was up early yesterday and never napped, didn't sleep on the way down there.
Well, you know what? When you have those delays and it's hot, Dippin' Dots. That usually takes care of it.
I don't know. The kid.
Wait a minute. Saturday, didn't they have the ice cream up in the free ice cream?
I don't know. It was it's so crowded. We didn't like to get up too much, but anyway, we won't go for batting practice again because you don't really get a chance to see much. And the ushers are really all over you about pestering the guys in the bullpen too much too. Like they got ushers standing there. If they even see you leaning over, they'll come over and read you the riot act.
We don't want you harassing the visiting team. It's not Atlanta.
But these people are all wearing Braves jerseys.
Oh, that's a cover. You dress like that, so they think you're a Braves fan. I know how that works.
Yeah,
it's like, oh my gosh, we're getting harassed by these people in Braves t-shirts or they're Cardinal fans.
I had told her, I was like, I'm not making you any promises about how this is going to go. But when I was a kid, we used to sit in the power alley all the time. Ameren had that section in the old stadium. And my dad, the job he had at Donnelly's at the time, he got comp tickets pretty frequently, and we'd go to games. And
you're still a Braves fan?
And well, yeah. And I remember going with a buddy of mine, and we just basically harassed a pitcher to the point where he finally just threw us a couple of balls to shut us up, and you would not get away with that now. Like they were all over it. So
it's one of those things. But last night, huge win for the Cardinals. Huge. Yeah. No, it was because
I know.
They still are 6 games. Okay, they're 6 games ahead of the Brewers. But here's the other thing. What are they? 5 games behind the Braves?
I
think in the overall.
Far enough back that I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, that's what people thought last year when we won 17 in a row.
Well, 17. Okay. I'm looking for your standings right now so that we can verify.
I can find it for you. Probably quicker. My internet's quick here in town. Quicker than up in Neoga.
The wild card standings at this point.
No, I'm just saying overall.
Well, the Braves are 79-49, and St. Louis is 73-54. So yeah,
hang on, I'm going to tell you.
5.5 games.
Cardinals are 5 games behind the Braves. 5.5.
Yeah. Well, I just said
Cardinals are only. I know. So I'm sorry. 5 games behind the Yankees. I hit overall instead of league. So I guess we're 8.5 behind the Mets for that second spot.
Yeah, the Mets get to play. They've got their schedule, and their schedule in September is it's working out pretty well for them. Like, I'm sorry,
we got a pretty soft schedule.
I'm I'm not like trying to make excuses or anything because the season is 162 games, and you gotta you got to do it over the course of the year. But I am saying that the Braves' chances, they're 3 behind the Mets, I think, in the NL East standings, maybe 4, maybe it's 4 now. Their chances to catch up are diminished greatly by the fact that I know that there's at least the Mets have at least 6 games with the Nationals in September, and the Nationals are, I mean,
not very good.
Putrid.
They're 46 games behind the Dodgers for a reason.
Yeah.
I had a Cubs fan 6 weeks ago wager me $10 they'd make the playoffs. I think I might just collect that early.
The Cubs make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, when he said he'd bet me $10, I really couldn't. I felt like it was a donation. I couldn't
You
turn
need
it
to point
down.
you need to point me in this person's direction next year.
There's some secrets I keep, Whitey. I'm just not going to give them away.
That's like a good mushroom hunting spot. Yeah, you don't tell anybody about that easy money.
Those are getting fewer and far between. And, when you take my dad now, and your biggest concern is, am I going to have to carry him out of the woods because his hip's hurting or his back's hurting? It's like, okay.
Well,
all right, we're going to talk about important things now.
Okay.
Golf.
Okay.
All right. I got a pat on the back. Give a shout out to the Teutopolis boys golf team. We were at the Litchfield Invitation. Okay. 8 teams. Ended up a couple JV teams in there to fill the field, if I get that out.
Easy for you.
Originally we were going to be in the top 4 teams, and we were going to be playing with St. Anthony's JV, which when I say that, it doesn't mean, it's JV.
No, we covered that last week.
They won this. They won this tournament. So, but that was what we wanted because to push my kids. So then the pairings came out, and we got moved into the 2nd tier with a couple JV teams and Christ Our Rock Lutheran, who is an exceptional player, by the way. But so we're in the 2nd tier. Finished 4th, but we shot a 341, and 2 weeks ago at the St. Anthony Invite there, we shot a 363, which was 40 strokes better than the previous year. And now we chopped off another 22 yesterday. And then I had one of my kids get a top 5 or top 10 medal. Ethan Taylor shot a 78, and it was kind of funny because he's on 18. And we're there, and it's a little par 3, and it's kind of got a built-up area behind the green. It's really pretty cool, and there's shade. Sitting there in the shade, sipping on a little bit of Diet Coke, watching my kids finish, and Ethan just kind of just hit his tee shot fat on the par 3, and then knocked it on, 2-putted, got his 4, and he was hanging his head, shaking his head. He comes walking up after he comes walking up to us. I go, "What's wrong?" He goes, "Coach, par, and I broke 80. And I said, "Ethan, par here's 70, not 72. You shot a 78. He was just, "Hey, I'm 8 over now because I got a bogey, and now I'm going to shoot 80, and I blew my chance to break 80. I go, "No, you're fine. You shot 78. You did awesome." And that was really good because, little piece of hardware we get to take home. Finishing 4th, great finish for the team. St. Anthony JV had 2 kids there who were on the varsity first time we played. It's dog eat dog world on that golf team. I'm just telling you. They have playoffs for tournaments, and you got kids shooting under par or even par and not making the cut. So it's tough. But good turnout. I think Salem was 2nd, Litchfield was 3rd, we were 4th. Kind of would like to caught Litchfield since it was their tournament. I felt like we kind of got snubbed into that 2nd group, but that's okay.
Was it warm enough for you? That's the important.
Yeah, it was the first time it was hot. First time all year we've played when it's been warm. 2 of my kids were getting a little red-faced, and I kept throwing water bottles at them. We had a magic score. If we broke 350, we'd stop and have a little Mexican food on the way home. So we did there in Vandalia at the Los Amigos. And it was pretty good. Couldn't complain. So couldn't get a big margarita. I had to drive the bus. So
yes, you have to do the adult thing.
And then St. Anthony, their varsity group was down at Edwardsville in a big tournament. 20-some schools. maybe finished, I think they got third, had 3 kids in the top 20. All the schools there were bigger. Now, Belleville-Altoff won it, and Belleville-Altoff was still their last year of 2A because of a multiplier. So, because Belleville-Altoff actually beat St. Anthony down at Wren Lake by 5, and then they beat him here in a 2-day tournament by a couple. So St. Anthony varsity, really nice. They stopped there at Indian Springs and north of Vandalia, and working because they were on their way home. Stopped, watched the JV kids get the trophy, and I talked to some of them, and I hadn't realized. I knew it had to be coming, but I think if they get a trophy this year at State Golf, they get multiplied, and they're 2A for the next couple of years.
I think they'll still be able to compete, though.
They'll compete. They won't dominate.
Yeah.
They'll compete. And they'll be good. They'll be competitive at that level. Don't get me wrong. But it's not a case where people are saying, okay, well, kind of like Larry Bird at his first 3-point shootout. Who's getting second? So, no, pretty good. Effingham girls won. It's kind of funny. They announced it that St. Anthony won. And St. Anthony coach and hey, no, Effingham girls won. The guy just got confused when he announced Effingham won. St. Anthony got second. Some good playing there. So it was good. We go to Olney Friday. I'm pretty sure St. Anthony's there. A lot of teams in our regional. Pretty sure Robinson's there, Marshall's there, Flora's there. So this Olney kind of a good test for the regional. Kind of see, because like I said, we want to get out as a team, and you got to finish top 3. And Mount Carmel's there, which I'm starting to think now the way we're starting to play, we can maybe kind of compete if we play well. So we'll see. That's Friday. That's why I won't be at the Muhammad. I'll be down at Olney.
Yeah. Well, Muhammad's a long way to go anyway. I would have excused you. I would have excused you from being there.
I appreciate that. Some of our other stuff I know is getting started. Volleyball, cross country. I think there were some invitationals this Saturday. Soccer has gotten off to a start. I don't know. Has Effingham played the home soccer match yet?
Not that I've seen, but I'd be lying to you if I said I had been on top of that.
You're kind of an MLS guy, not too worried about high school level.
I have been to an MLS game before, Mike.
Really? So my son has been to the the Nashville SC. He saw Nashville SC. In a weekend, my son saw the Chiefs preseason game, went out to visit a buddy in Kansas City, got up, flew home Sunday, and then Sunday night went to see Nashville SC that night play. I'm thinking, I didn't realize you're the sports buff. And this is how the Wilson family works. Caught up in traffic. Here's Patrick Mahomes' first touchdown pass on the radio while they're pulling in, while they're trying to park the car. Walking through the stadium, just coming out of the tunnel to find their seats as they're celebrating Patrick Mahomes' second touchdown pass. Never saw him take a snap.
I was going to say, you show up late to a preseason game, you miss most of the guys you actually.
But he said it was noisy, warm, and the smell of barbecue sauce or the smell of barbecue from the tailgating was almost overwhelming.
Yeah, that'd be all right. You just walk around.
Just walk around like you know people and take a little, hey, let me try that brisket.
Yeah, hey, that would actually be kind of funny to just I'll tell you what, they tailgate outside the baseball games in Milwaukee, which is something you don't see as much of.
No, you're right. You don't. And I've heard
and those people, when we were there anyway for a playoff game last year, the people were nice enough. I think I probably could have just walked up and said, hey, mind if I grab a brat? And I probably
Cousin Bill, just act like you know people.
Just act like you know them. Speaking of eating things, it's about lunchtime, Mike. So
all right. Well, that's fine. We like I said, we're working on a guest. It wasn't going to work. And I'm glad we did this now because I'm going to be out. I got stuff to do tonight. And tonight's the rubber game. So I know what you're going to be doing at 6 o'clock.
Jake Odorizzi's pitching, so the Cardinals are going to win.
He's a right-handed pitcher, though, isn't he?
He's right-handed.
Okay, so Pujols won't get a start.
Well, but I don't know. Listen, since he has gotten to Atlanta, he has shown a propensity for working up in the zone, and he doesn't.
Hey, you did at least, Mr. Montgomery's ERA is no longer 0.0 something now. You at least got him.
They got to Montgomery a little bit. Austin Riley hit 108 miles an hour back at.
Well, and again, that's when I started watching the game, and it was 4-0 already. And then Smoltz was talking about really questionable third strike call that would have changed that inning and possibly not allowed Atlanta to score. I didn't see it. I just heard him talking about it because I saw the bottom of the fourth is when I.
I don't know. I can't. I try not to worry too much about the zone when I'm in the stadium because there's only a few places you could sit and really.
I know you can't tell.
So anyway, yeah.
All righty.
I've never been to a game that ended in a walk-off walk, as far as I know. So I suppose at least check that off the list. If we're putting a positive spin on it.
Whitey, my favorite game. I was at a walk-off game. This guy named Ozzie Smith hit a homer.
I've never heard of him. Sorry.
Special man.
Well, Mike, I'm gonna grab some lunch.
All right, we good.
All right, we'll be back next week. We'll talk about some Effingham football, see about a guest if we can see what we can do. But at any rate, we'll have plenty of high school sports to talk about. And Effingham's gonna have a tough test at Mahomet. It's gonna be
very tough.
It's gonna be a challenging game, but we'll see what they can do.
They got things to build on, and then, like I said, there was positives from this game. So,
all right. Well,
righty.
We'll talk to you next week.
See you, bud.
Later.